If you're thinking of buying the M1 MacBook Air in 2026, let's get on into the review. It's the year 2026, you're thinking of buying an M1 MacBook Air, or maybe you already have one and you're wondering if it still holds up. This might be the most honest review you'll ever hear. What's good, guys? I'm Storm Allen, and today we're going to be talking about the M1 MacBook Air. This is the 13-inch model, guys, with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. And most importantly, this is my first MacBook. So this is not going to be one of those videos. I've been using Macs for 10 years, reviews. I'm coming at this straight from Windows side, no fluff, no bias, just straight up facts. So first we're going to start with the design. Even in 2026, this still looks clean. It's thin, it's light, premium, and it doesn't scream old. It weighs about 2.8 pounds. It's kind of laptop you can actually throw in a bag and not feel like you packed like a brick in your bag. And because this thing is fanless, it stays crazy quiet. It opens, wakes up, and get to work. Now let's jump on into the display. For my model, it is the 13.3-inch panel, 2560 by 1600 resolution, 400 nits of brightness, P3 color, and True Tone. The screen looks better than all the laptops that I found in the same price range. It's not the brightest outdoor, but it's decent, it's usable. But by 2026 standards, the bezels are definitely a bit old. And no, this is not some super high refresh rate OLED screen, but the screen actually looks amazing. When you're watching YouTube, typing, browsing, editing thumbnails, planning content, it feels really premium. This is the best laptop I've used so far. The text is sharp, colors look nice, and for a base Air, this screen has aged really well. You can upgrade to the 15-inch screen if you want a bigger one, but for me, I was traveling a lot. I already have a main setup behind me. This is just my travel laptop. Next, let's get on into the keyboards and the trackpad. And this is where Apple kind of ruined me. The keyboards feel so solid, not too mushy, not too stiff, and the trackpad is honestly ridiculous. It's so good. It's big, smooth, it's accurate. It makes a lot of cheaper laptop tripods just feel completely broken. They also have the Touch ID, which is a game changer for me. I save all my passwords on my iPhone, so just having them through Touch ID saves me so much time going back and forth between my phone and my MacBook. So Touch ID is also one of those features. Same with the speakers. For something this thin, they're surprisingly nice. For videos, music, just everyday use. I'm gonna let you listen to the speakers on my Windows Acer Aspire 3 laptop versus these speakers, guys. Don't just listen out for the loudness, also listen for the fullness of the audio. Check it out. After listening to that, the difference is night and day. It's louder, it has that more fullness. You can hear the more pitches compared to my Windows laptop. It's just a game changer. Now let's jump into performance. This is where the M1 still earns its respect. You're getting Apple's M1 chip with 8-core CPU and 16-core neutral engine. What does that mean? I don't even know myself, but just know it's fast, guys. And even now, when you run Geekbench 6, the model still lands roughly around low to mid 2000s single core and around the high 7000s to mid 8000s for the multi-core. So this is not just some slow, outdated machines. This is what I used to edit all my videos on the channel. You can also color grade with it. It still moves great. This is not some slow, outdated machine. It's easy, Chrome tabs, docs, even light editing, it runs pretty smooth. I barely get any stutter or hiccups, and I'm running the 8 gig RAM model. It's gonna go to YouTube, Canva, schoolwork, Spotify, emails, and all that stuff like breeze. And older app compatibility was one of the reasons this laptop got so much respect in the first place. Reviews kept calling out how well it handled translated and legacy apps, which is a part of why this machine still feels usable years later. But let me keep it real. Mine is the 8 gigabyte model, and in 2026, the 8 gigabyte is where you start having to know who you are. If you're a student, a writer, browser, note taker, a content creator like your boy, you're probably good. If you're trying to run everything at once, editing giant projects, leaving a million tabs open, and pretend like this is a MacBook Pro, you're gonna find the limit. So to me, the M1 chip is still strong, but for someone wanting to do those heavy workloads, I would suggest getting an M2 with 16 gigabytes of RAM as the base model. That 256 storage fills up faster than you think. So for me, I gotta manage the apps I download, the games I download. I gotta clear the videos, screen recording, random files, adds up. If you don't like keeping track of everything or deleting stuff, I would suggest getting an external storage SSD, and that's because this is an Air and not the Pro, so the fanless design cuts both ways. It's beautiful when you want silence, but if you're doing a long, sustained, heavy workloads, you still have to remember this is a machine without a fan. For me, the only part where I had the laptop heating up was gaming. I could do light gaming here, sure. Would I replace a real Windows gaming setup with this? Absolutely not. This is a productivity laptop first for me, not a gaming machine. And now here's the part that makes this review different. macOS. Because this is my first MacBooks that I wasn't used to any of this. I came from Windows. So at first I was low-key lost. The biggest surprise was not the hardware. The hardware is easy to like. The real adjustment was the OS, command instead of control, the Finder instead of File Explorer, installing apps differently, closing windows and realizing the app is still open. Oh, that was a big one for me. Windows management feeling different. Even little stuff like settings, it throws you off at first. So if you're a Windows user thinking about switching here, my honest take is that the M1 MacBook Air itself is easy to love. macOS is the part that will humble you for a minute. Not because it's bad, it's just muscle memory is real. And that's exactly why I'm going to do a full video going from Windows to a Mac OS after this one, because that part deserves its own conversation. That said, once you get used to it, you begin to understand why people like Macs. The wake up from sleep is fast, the gestures are so nice, the whole experience feels smooth, and the laptop also feels more consistent than a lot of Windows machines that I've tried. Quick recap, the hardware still holds up, the real learning curve is the software. Now let's talk about battery, because this is one of the biggest wins. Apple rated this thing for up to 15 hours of wireless web and up to 18 hours of Apple TV movie playback. And Tom's Guide measured around 14 hours and 41 minutes for its web browsing battery test. So the battery life is still legit, especially if your real life is more about productivity, streaming, writing, browsing, and light editing. But if you're doing heavy editing and exporting, you can see the battery life go down pretty fast. Not very fast, but significantly faster. Now, if you're buying this used in 2026, here's the truth. Battery health and condition matters almost as much as the chip, because the value is all over the place. Recent refurbs and pre-owned listings have shown the 8 gig RAM and 256 gigabyte storage set up around the mid 400s, even 300s in the US, while in Canada pricing can swing a lot based on the condition. So I got mine for around in the 400s. You can find lower in the 300s, but just look anywhere between 3 to 500 you're going to be paying for these guys. If you can see one for really cheap, cool, but check the condition, at this age, you're buying the seller almost as much as you're buying the specs. Now let's jump on into the shortcomings of the MacBook. Ports. This is one place where the age really shows. You're getting 2 Thunderbolts and a headphone jack. That's it. No USB-A, no HDMI, no SD card slot, no MagSafe on this version. So if you're into using accessories, cameras, capture cards, or random devices all the time, you're probably buying a hub. And here's a big one. Officially, the model supports one external display up to 6K at 60 Hertz. One. So you cannot have 2 display supported monitors on this. So if you want that multi-monitor setup, definitely think about getting a later MacBook like the M2 and up. Webcam. I don't think any laptop has a solid webcam, but for this webcam, it's usable. Microphone test on the M1 MacBook Air. Guys, how do you think it sounds? Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom. It is 720p, and in 2026, it's definitely not impressive. It's fine for calls. It's not wow. Software support though, this is where the M1 still looks strong. Apple's compatibility list still includes the M1 MacBook Air for macOS Tahoe 26, and Apple Intelligence still works on the M1 or later. So weirdly enough, this machine still feels more future-proof than a lot of people thought. To hear a 2020 laptop getting Apple's Intelligence, mind blown. So is the M1 MacBook Air still worth it in 2026? Honestly, yes. If you're a student, a writer, a content creator, but you're not doing 3D models on this, definitely. It's a really quiet laptop, web browsing, media, school, everyday work. If you want a cheaper way into the Apple ecosystem, this still makes a lot of sense. If you're a Windows user wanting to try Mac for the first time, this is actually a really interesting place to start. But if you already know you're a heavy editor, big multitasker, a serious gamer, or someone who needs a ton of local storage and multiple monitors, this is not the perfect fit, especially not on the 8GB and 256GB version. Final verdict, the M1 Air is still a good laptop in 2026. Not just good for its age, it's still great. It's wonderful. Now it's more about value. You're not buying the newest Mac, you're buying a laptop that still feels fast, still feels premium, still gets current software updates, and still handles work excellent for most people, although it's showing its age. If this video helped you out, hit that subscribe button and comment down below. Would you still buy the M1 MacBook Air in 2026, or would you save for something newer? And subscribe, because I'm doing a full video on what it's actually like going from Windows to Mac OS as a first-time user. And trust me, I got thoughts on that. And if you want to stay in Apple's lane for even less money, check out my video on the iPad 9th Gen next. Because for some of y'all, this might actually be the smarter buy. Peace.